Alright, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and we are still in the early days of Edirn. Just looking at our map here, we have done several things in this southernmost area. We of course have yet to do, or at least yet to circle back to this battle over here. We were thinking that we might want to try to power up a little bit first. We've done more long-term upgrades, but we are, in many ways, not prioritizing the immediate future, the immediate upgrades, instead thinking, well, yeah, long term. So that means that, until we do get a little bit more resources and load up a little bit more on either the direct upgrades that will immediately affect us, or basically just improve our deck directly that way, that may be, only once we've made those upgrades might we go over to this battle again. I mean, we probably could get the job done if we just played better this time around. But I'm still curious to see what else we have in this southernmost area over here. So I think we check more of this stuff out. Of course, we know we have a point of interest over here. I think this one was the one where we had the option to buy some resources from someone, but we just quite literally could not afford it because we were broke, and we still are broke. But we might be able to change that with a little bit more scrounging around this area. So let's get on the move then. I think we got everything around here where our most recent encounter was. Doesn't look like there's any more loot. So let's get moving in that case. Don't think we've been any further to the east. Don't remember exactly what angle we approached from. But, of course, my fear of continuing on this way towards this point of interest, which we're actually quite close to, would be that we might have some kind of point of no return. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but there might be some kind of point of no return where if we keep on going this way, then we won't be able to double back, and we actually will permanently miss this battle, which, of course, I'd rather not have happen to us, but we'll see. Oh, I vaguely remember didn't we see, yeah, some signs of what looked to be Nilfgaardians over there. Hold on, there are some additional resources here, and if we could use all the resources we can get. 99 gold. Was it 100? Was that the price of the thing that we were looking at potentially getting from the villager over in the area where we were previously? I think we have been over here, right? I feel like that was the case. Ooh, also, try to make a mental note. It doesn't show up on our map when we see one of those chests like that, does it? Maybe it does. It's obviously it's showing up now. So that's definitely a good thing then. It looks like eventually we'd have to cross the bridge, loop around this way in order to get here. I assume Meve is not swimming over. But okay. Good thing we caught that chest there. But in that case... Oh, little crow. I suppose we're looking at this encounter here with the Nilfgaardians. I have to imagine this turns into some kind of fight. We are currently on high morale, I believe. So that hopefully will help. The other thing is that, if/when we do go back to this battle, we do still have the shrine over here that we saw, and so we could go use this to get back up to high morale and increase our likelihood of succeeding in this battle on a later occasion. So I like that as well. I think that's all the more reason for us to say that. So let's see what the deal is here. I guess it's going to be a fight.
Reynard call out from behind her.
The scouts returned. Claims to bear an urgent message.
The queen halted her horse and waited for the soldier to reach her. He abandoned all formalities and jumped straight to the point.
Milady, a black-clad caravan, armed to the hilt, rides this way. To believe the rumours, they're hauling a load of war loot back south.
Reynard gave the soldier new orders, then turned to Meve.
Sounds like a prime opportunity to replenish our coffers.
Yeah, and as we were just saying, and as you guys were saying as well, it seems like this area in particular is going to be pretty hard to get a lot of gold, a lot of wood, and don't know about recruits, but resources are seemingly going to be hard to come by, so any opportunity we get, be very nice. Be very nice. Let's see, we can attack the Nilfgaardian caravan, or we can let the caravan pass. So it sounds like we attack them, it's sort of the high risk, high reward, where if we do succeed, we could potentially get a bunch more resources, which, like we were just saying, we very much need, or would be very nice to have at the very least. Or we play it simple, keep it safe, let the caravan go, and, I mean, I would like to believe there wouldn't be any direct downside to this. It's just there's the opportunity cost of we're missing out on whatever gold or wood or recruits or whatever we might get if we were to succeed against them. So, I mean, we gotta try, right? We're on high morale, which is good. As we were saying, we really have not upgraded our deck much, if at all, as of late, so that does make me a little nervous that we might just get brutally overpowered, but we'll give it a shot.
Indeed. An opportunity we cannot ignore.
The Queen said.
Your
Exactly.
unit will block their path. Gascon and his men will hide in the woods and strike their flanks, while I shut the trap, attacking from behind.
Their plan established, Meve gave the signal to move out. A brief moment later, the fight began.
I mean, I assume, especially how it paused here, that we are actually going to encounter the Nilfgaardians in an actual match, and it's not just going to be a scripted story event that we don't directly participate in. No, we got ourselves a battle. We got ourselves a battle. All the better for it. Let's see. We do have special rules, though. It is a shortened battle, but it looks like it is quite literally a battle, not a puzzle, which I suppose makes sense given the circumstances. Let's see. Upon realizing they could not avoid a fight, the Nilfgaardians stopped their wagons. Not all of them, however, took to defensive formations. One soldier remained with each cart. They stood with backs to their attackers, their eyes trained on the cargo. Ah, they're conflicted. Do they fight us directly, or do they prioritize just protecting their cargo? What mysteries hid in these wagons? What treasure so precious to abandon self-defense in the midst of battle? Hint: expose the trap. Okay, so of course it doesn't look like it's going to be just a super simple, straightforward fight in which it's just a matter of outscoring our opponents. Yes, that is probably still the name of the game, but given the special rules, given this trap, whatever it may be, I think there's going to be some additional interesting factors at play here. Okay, so it is a shortened battle, so we're heading straight into round 3, so we just need to win this one. Let's see. Before we choose our cards, let's see what the deal is here. So, we don't hear of any alternative objectives, so I assume we're still just looking to outscore them, but they've an absolute monster load of armor here. 30 on the wagon, immobile, which I assume means it can't change rows. Cannot be moved, yep. Death Wish, Meve loses the battle. Oh, okay. So not only do we want to make sure we outscore them, we need to make sure that we don't accidentally destroy this caravan. I mean, I'd like to believe we can make that happen, but I don't know if, like, they're gonna start damaging, in which case that could certainly add some complexity to the factor. Let's see. Oh, Caravan Escort's also immobile. Okay, so now I see the whole... They're very much guarding those caravans. Gascon's ambush. Trigger an ambush when you move a caravan next to this card. What? But they're immobile. How? Hold on. Does that mean we need to move this? Or are there going to be other caravans later on that get summoned or played out? I wonder. Because this one can't move, right? So, like, how does this ever... Unless this guy is moving, which I don't think he is? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So I am not entirely sure how we're trying to approach this then. We don't want to destroy the caravans. Then again, they have a whole bunch of armor, so that may not be much of an issue. I mean, movement might be helpful, but I'm not entirely sure about that either, given how we want this guy to be positioned in a certain spot, but we can't move any of these guys, so that makes it a little bit tricky. So, let's see. Move 3 cards to the other row on their side, if any were units, damage them by 2. So again, the question of, do we use movement? Do we not use movement? I'm not sure. It's either going to be the key to success, or it's going to be completely useless, which makes it kind of hard to gauge if we want this card or not. Strays Cavalry, mark unit, and then damage it. I mean, they have so much armor. I feel like unless they play other cards out there that are much better targets, then this might not be the right choice for now. We have a whole bunch of them as well. We just recently got the Alchemist, didn't we? Set a unit's power equal to the unit to its left. I mean, we could weaken the Caravan Escort that way, I suppose. By 10 points, that's something. But I feel like we probably would prefer to use that on our own side and say, get a Lyrian Scytheman boosted up a whole bunch, and then use that to boost someone else on our side who's next to the Scytheman. So I don't think we want this many Scythmen. We might want 1 or 2 of them, but our leader ability is slow enough that that's not super helpful. And this is painful, because Reynard Once Upon a Time was arguably the best card in our deck, now we have so few order abilities that I'm not even sure we want to keep him. I think that happened to us once before. Might have been that previous battle we were talking about, where we were asking ourselves, do we even want him at all? I mean, he does have 11 base power, or 10 and boosts up to 11 with our morale, but is that reason enough? Because these Scythemen will get to 11 once we use one round of our leader ability, and then go higher than that if we use the second round of our leader ability, so it pains me to do this, but I think we're taking him out, and you know, when it comes to optimize our deck going forward, at least short term, it may make sense to remove Raynor. Alchemist again, I mean, again, probably will be a way to set up whatever card goes next to those Scythemen. And the question of, do we move? Do we want the damage? What is the best course of action here? It's hard to say. I think we don't want this many Strays Cavalry, because we don't know for certain if this is going to be a good idea. And so if it isn't, having 3 of them is going to be a huge downside. So let's get rid of one of them. Infiltrator, remind me. After 2 turns, so we played on their side. After 2 turns, it, okay, gets boosted by the power of one of their cards, then comes back to our side, so we want to put it next to one of their big cards. Okay, that could potentially work. 15 power at a minimum. If they play higher power cards or power these up later on, then could be better still. So I feel like we get rid of one more Strays Cavalry. Unless, what do we feel about these? Damaging all enemy units by 2 if they have so much armor. I'm not sure that's going to matter at all, at least on the damaging side. The boosting obviously will help, but I think we might want to dump you. Okay, I think the Strays Infiltrators they might be a good option. I do kind of like those. I think we get rid of one more of the Strays Cavalry. I think we get rid of one other Strays Cavalry.
We must drive them into the ambush. Follow me!
Okay. Meve's description there also does make it sound like we need to somehow, some way, find a way to move this thing. Immobile. Cannot be moved. You're in ambush when you move a caravan next to this card. I think that's... How? How? How, I ask you? I think we need to wait a little bit. Let's... Unless if we manage to get rid of all the caravan escorts, is that the way? You destroy all of these, and then that means that they'll end up next to each other? Is that I guess that's the idea? Yes, that's the idea. Which admittedly was not really what I was originally thinking. But now I think that might be the answer. In which case, what? Probably going to want to use leader ability immediately on the escorts. That will damage them all by 4. Don't think that's going to be a huge factor. Damage them by 4. And then, well... Yeah. I was going to say, like, do we even need to trigger our trap, our ambush? Can we just outscore them the old-fashioned way? And, well, given all the hints we've gotten, I think we very much do want to try to make this happen. Otherwise, we might just be totally outpowered. So, yeah, I think what we do is... we go Scytheman first. So we have one down when we use our leader ability. We do this. Then we do leader ability. Hit the escorts. And, I mean, that is a nice chunk of damage, yes. What do they do? Damage enemy unit by 2 whenever an ally appears. Gain 1 charge. So you're going to start dishing out damage to us. Think. I mean, now, of course, in hindsight, we'd say, well, having something like a Strays Cavalry to deal a bunch of damage to Caravan Escorts would be kind of nice right about now. We did not really load up on much damage, after all, so, we can damage you, but that's not really gonna matter too much. Yikes. I would say we mark a unit as early as possible, maximize the damage out of the Strays Cavalry. That is probably still the play. My one hesitance here is that if we start damaging one of these more than the others, then that means that eventually once we blow through their armor, they're not going to be on the same amount of power, and that means our leader ability is not going to hit them all simultaneously, which is going to be definitely a downside, because that is definitely our primary source of damage right now. So I just don't know if we have enough damage. Even in a theoretical, mathematical sense, in a perfect situation in which we load up on all possible damage here, is there enough? I just don't really think there is. Again, we got rid of a lot of our damage when we got rid of the Strays Cavalry, because for whatever reason, it did not occur to me that by moving Caravan next to Gascon's ambush, that was going to mean we need to destroy the Caravan escorts. I mean, narratively, that makes sense, but just looking at the cards, that did not occur to me initially, so, alright, let's do it. Then, let's see, hold on just a second. Your ability marks a unit every turn, damage it by 1. When marked unit is destroyed, mark another random enemy. Obviously, we get rid of one of the escorts that we mark. That'll be the first one to go down, no likelihood. Then it'll go to a random target. We really want it to be another Caravan escort. We obviously don't want it to be the Caravan. So, there's nothing we can do to dictate where that's going to go, though, because it is purely random. So, we just cross our fingers. Of course, it'll be a while until that ends up happening, but see, do they play anything that changes this situation at all? Okay. So we would love to have another Strays Cavalry. In fact, technically, is there any limit on how many marked enemies we can have? Don't remember. Can we decoy, get this back into our hand, replay it on our next turn, mark another one of the Caravan escorts, and use that to get a little bit more damage going? Because otherwise, I mean, that is our only other source of damage other than our leader ability. Unless Strayslinger, I mean, Strayslinger can't do anything against these guys, or can't do anything against these guys, which is what matters. All I'm doing is messing with these Black Infantry Arbalists, which is not really going to help us, so this is not looking good. We, of course, did not set ourselves up with a good hand, and that does mean this might quite literally be theoretically impossible at this point, again, even in a perfect situation. So I think we do try this, because I'm not sure how else we're going to get enough damage. I still don't think it's going to be enough. Next time an enemy uses an order ability, boosts up by 2, gain 2 armor. Yeah. I mean, obviously they're just going to put up a bunch of points here. These are some cards that we faced off against previously, but these guys counter the Strayslingers almost entirely. So what I'm saying is, now we replay Strays Cavalry and mark a different unit. Oh, for a second I thought that was, that we had 7 turns until our next leader ability. I was like, excuse me? Excuse me? So yeah, we can mark 2 enemy units. So loading up on the Strays Cavalry is not a terrible idea. I don't know if we're going to get the chance to try this again, or if we're just going to immediately fail this and have to abandon this mission after the fact. That may be the case. I'm not entirely sure, but as I was saying, I mean, at this point, it's not too much else we can do damage-wise, besides, I mean, we can start moving these guys, but that's not really going to matter much. I mean, I guess. We don't really have much in the way of alternatives, so why not?
Bigger they are, easier they are to target.
Probably should hit the ones that did not have armor, but we'll get the guy next time, probably. That's weird. Normally, it would still show the charge icon, even if they don't have any remaining. Just say 0. Some kind of red icon there. Okay, so, yeah. Now they're going to deal a whole bunch of damage, but importantly, we do have our leader ability back. So, what we can do here is... do we try to put up points with the Scythemen and then leader ability, or do we... yeah, order of operations wise, I think that makes the most sense. We do that, we do this, hit all of them, but as we're seeing, it's not looking like it's going to be anywhere near enough damage. It is also strange the delay when they're taking their turn? Is this purely for dramatic effect? You can just play a card immediately, it's okay. You don't need to make me think that you're planning out your next turn, computer. Alright, so we do need time for our Strays Infiltrators to do their thing, so I think we do need to do that now, and the best target for it would be one of these Caravan Escorts. So, just power the unit, or buy the power the unit on the right, so playing you here. Then we're going to want to put the other one somewhere similar. Yeah, so it is a bunch of Nilfgaardian units that we've seen in the past. So, no real surprises there. Or at least there shouldn't be. Excuse me? You could, like... Oh, there's no room there anymore. Okay, so we're gonna have to wait on that one. That's, it's a little bit unfortunate, because I think we're gonna have just enough time to get this one back on our side, but it's close. Okay, so we'll play you.
Thing about slings, they hide well.
Alright, there we go. Now we've got our Strays Infiltrator back. This will be how we're going to want to use our Alchemists, but this may very well end up being the target of their damage. So it isn't. Fortunately for us, though, we do need to go with this Strays Infiltrator basically immediately. But that's the wrong spot. I mean, we were losing anyway, but as you can see, obviously I meant to put that there. So we're just learning at this point, because we know we've lost. We're basically doing this in the name of science, trying to figure out how we should win, what our strategy should be next time round. And so the Strays Infiltrators do look pretty solid. Putting them next to the Caravan Escorts is nice. That is, if you actually put them next to Caravan Escorts, and put them to the left of the Caravan Escorts rather than the right of Gascon's ambush, because this is going to do precisely nothing. But then it does work with the Alchemist, because
Greetings. What
excuse
is
me?
it?
Okay, the Alchemist can't trigger it on itself. I suppose makes some sense.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
But, oh. Hold on. Hold on. Here's a thought. Obviously, this isn't going to work this time, but... Wait, set a unit's power equal to the unit to its left. So... we could do this, but what if we deliberately play Strays Infiltrators next to Caravan Escorts and use it to reduce the power of the Caravan Escorts? I like that idea. I mean, this time, the positioning of this is such that we're just going to increase the power of the Strays Infiltrator, which is something. It does help us put up points, but it doesn't help us trigger that ambush. So that looks promising. That does feel like something we're going to want to try if we can do this again. But again, I am not sure. Not sure if that's going to be possible. Oh, and actually did play something in that range right there, which I didn't think he would do. Okay, so once again, like we do this, and then we would look to reduce the power of the Caravan Escorts if we were to have had a Strays Infiltrator over there in the right spot. So, this time it doesn't really matter. We have lost. Let's see, I mean, what's the unit to its left? So, like, we do that. Congratulations, you're slightly weaker. We can do this. That's not really going to help. In fact, they might have scored more points than we did from that. So we have absolutely lost. Can we try again? Because we have learned some interesting things. We can. Okay, let's try this again. We have a few ideas to test out here, I think. And perhaps most importantly, we have a better idea of which card's going to be helpful here. Stray Slinger, borderline useless. Definitely don't want you. Scytheman, also... don't think we want this many of them at the very least, because as we saw, sure, you get some points out of them early on, but then they're going to quickly become the targets of their damage. This hand is just our starting hand is atrocious. I mean, absolutely atrocious. So we may not be able to correct this with our remaining redraws, because we don't want Reynard. We don't want these Scythemen. We don't want you. We may have just been dealt an automatic loss, so this also hurts. Setting the row on fire. I do believe that the actual caravan itself has more armor than the other enemies, so that may actually work. And the Strays Cavalry is okay, but definitely not perfect. Lyria and Horn we got rid of last time, because we thought that the damage wouldn't be all that helpful when they have so much armor. I mean, we could use all the damage we can get, though, so that might not be a terrible idea. I think top priority is probably still getting rid of the Lyrian Scythemen. And stop giving us Stray Slingers. Oh my goodness. And this is the pain of not having upgraded our deck at all yet. This is just like, how many cards we need to flip through until we finally get something that helps us. We did not get any of the cards, really, that we were looking for. The one exception potentially being the Strays Bomber, which we were not even planning on using initially. But, was really hoping we'd get one of the Infiltrators again to deliberately set the Caravan Escorts at 2 power, or is it 4 power? 3 power. 3 power. Oh, did we lose our morale bonus as well? Oh, I did not know that happens. If you have to restart, you lose your morale bonus. I mean, it sort of makes sense, because, of course, the morale bonus only triggers for one encounter, but I figured since we were restarting the encounter that, you know, would have all the same effects, but that does mean that, at least in that sense, we are actually a little bit weaker this time around, from a pure point standpoint, but of course we are smarter, hopefully. As for whether our hand is any better, though, the answer to that, maybe, maybe not. Our hand was not great last time, our hand is definitely still not great this time. Let's go with the Strays Bomber, I think, as early as possible, because fire lasts indefinitely, right? I think so. So we do that, and then... yeah, I think that's still best, and then probably Strays Cavalry after that. Let's try it.
Watch your heads!
So we do that. We definitely go leader ability against you guys. And we're just trying to get rid of these guys as quickly as possible. Okay. So then, do we have any reason why? Did we get a second Strays Bomber? Do we have any reason to... I mean, I guess we can set both rows on fire. Guess we can do that. Sure. This is definitely a lower priority. It may actually be better to go Strays Cavalry first on the strongest of the escorts. Try to keep them on the same amount of power. I think we do that.
The chase is on!
And they'll deal damage. I mean, we are trying to rely pretty much exclusively on the power of this ambush. No idea what exactly it does, of course, but given all the hints that we're saying, hey, make sure you do this, hoping that it's going to bail us out. See, we can get a second Strays Cavalry out there to mark a second unit, get some more automatic damage going. The one thing I like about this right now, though, is if we do not mark anyone else... Let's see, well, I just want to try to keep these guys on the same amount of armor as well. Get as many turns as possible with our leader ability damaging all 3 of the escorts simultaneously. Which, the problem is it's 3 turns before we get this back. This is going to get damaged every turn for the next 3 turns, so it's actually going to drop lower than these other guys. So, I think we just play this anyway. And the other thing is, of course, that this fire is going to randomly damage enemies. Initially, I thought that it was going to, the wording of it made it sound like it was going to randomly either, or rather, there's a 33% chance of it damaging everyone on the row simultaneously, or, wait, what? Whenever this unit takes... Lids, read the card. Read the card. Whenever this unit takes damage, move it 1 position to the right. You don't say. You don't say. Imagine that.
wise choice.
Okay, so glad we eventually read the cards in question. Great. So now, I mean, the Lyrian Scythemen were ideally going to be cards we put down there early, get boosted when we use our leader ability. We have one more turn before we use our next leader ability, so we'd kind of like to load up on them now, yes. However, we could also start getting the second row with fire on it, because that's also going to be worth a lot. The earlier we get it, the better. But, yeah, now that we've read this card, now we know, okay, the play is definitely Stray's Cavalry immediately on the Caravan, get that going. No need for fire in this row, not necessarily needed, because that should be enough damage to get this moved over to the ambush. So that means when we were playing all these extra cavalry and getting the row burning, we wasted time when we could have been loaded up on more Scythmen so we could get more boosted when we used our next round of our leader ability. So we're still learning. We definitely should have seen what the deal was by reading all this card's text immediately. But we should be close. Yes, Reynard, you are right. Because Caravan, at this point, once they actually take their turn, should move next to the ambush. Unless they play another card next to him, but doesn't look like they will.
Sure took your time. Thought you'd forgotten about me.
Alright, Gascon. Bail us out. Okay, what, did we get additional cards in our hand? Is that the way that worked? They have 5, we have 9. Okay, so we drew additional cards. Seems to be the way that worked, including Gascon. Okay, if in hand or deck. When battlefield, strengthens up by 1 whenever an enemy or allies move. Okay, we deliberately did not do much in the way of movement, so that's not great. But, oh, hold on. And we also got Stray's Infiltrators out here. Alright, now that's actually huge. Okay, that's cool. I like that. Now, let's see. We have our leader ability back. We could... Oh, here's a thought. I think what we do, we deliberately wait to use our leader ability, because right now, what would we... Well, I guess we could use it on all the 7s to damage them simultaneously. I was going to say otherwise, we would wait a turn, try to get all these lined up in and around 11, and then get them all damaged simultaneously, but I suppose this works just as well, and again, given the uncertainty of how exactly the fire damage is going to play out, might be playing with fire if we do that. So let's go with leader ability here on you guys. Then we'll go set fire to this row. Well, actually, don't really want to set fire to this row when we still have our infiltrators over there, so maybe we wait just a little bit before doing that. Also, on second thought, we might not want to do that, because also the infiltrators are going to get boosted by those guys, so yeah, that is kind of weird. That is kind of weird, how we actually didn't really want to... Yeah, you know, when I say maybe we did want to damage them after all, I'm not entirely sure. That was a weird turn. But, what we can do is, I suppose, we can continue to mark the cards that we actually do want to mark, and now, of course, it's going to make it so that we almost certainly do not want to target those guys with our leader ability. We have learned. Have we learned enough to make it work this time around? Maybe not. But collectively across our previous attempts, I think we have a very good idea now of what we should be doing. Let's see. So, again, ideally we'd wait one more turn before we set fire to this row, because we don't want to damage the infiltrators. We don't want to damage the units to the right of the infiltrators, because that affects how much they get boosted by. That's why I was saying, you know, wasn't really the best move using our leader ability on these guys. After all, let's see. There's not a lot of movement left, especially because, like we were saying, we kind of deliberately did not use our movement cards. This is actually going to be pretty solid, Lyrian Horn, as the last card we play, probably. Not sure who we're going to want to use Decoy on, though. We could decoy Stray's Cavalry to replay it, get the damage going on someone else. That's not a terrible idea. We although do have other Stray's Cavalry, so you know. I suppose we do this. And we hit someone who is not... Oh, combined power for chasing units. Wow. Okay, I thought it was just units on one side of them. No. Okay, so that means we just don't want to hit one of the guys who's next to the Strays Infiltrators, but this works. That would work, although you have armor. Let's do this. Okay, so here come the Infiltrators. But as we were saying, we could have gotten a little more out of them if we were a little more careful of that. Oh, and that does count as movement for Gascon, okay. So that definitely helps we are not in the lead yet, notably. Although, with all of our marks and some of our fire, it does mean we have some solid, long-term damage set up here. So, I think we either go fire in this melee row now that we no longer have the Infiltrators over there, or we go with setting up another round of marking. I think the fire is worth a lot more when they have this many units out here, though. So let's do that.
Catch!
Okay, and we do have significant card advantage after getting those reinforcements from Gascon. So they only have 3 cards left. We have 6. So that could be a pretty big factor as well. So I'm cautiously optimistic in that sense. Obviously, this was far from perfect. But I'm hoping it's still going to be enough. Okay. So, let's see. We have leader ability in 2 turns, which is potentially a reason to get out more Scythemen. However, as we were saying, getting the Strays Cavalry to mark more units is definitely helpful. So, like, getting rid of this Dareland Foot Soldiers, or at least starting to damage it, could be quite nice. But I think we go with that. So we have what? We have 6 cards in our hand. This is worth 5 additional points from our leader ability. This is worth 5 damage. This technically is 6 base power. This is 5. This is worth 1 more point than this. Getting this down early. I think my mental math is correct there. There's the fire. Doing some good work for us. So they only have 2 more cards left. And they now need to make up 2 points. Those Dareland Foot Soldiers are getting pretty big. We also have a really strong finisher with the Lyrian Horn, so I like having that in our back pocket. So now we go with the Strays Cavalry.
The chase is on!
Actually, that second Scytheman was definitely going to absolutely be better than the Cavalry there. Getting it down before... Well, actually, no. We do still have time to do it before our leader ability here. So we're fine. That was their last card, notably. They do have a slight lead, but I think that is about to change. Play you. And they have several units with 4 power, so let's target those. Some of which had marks, so those marks should move. Okay. And I mean, we already have the win here, but we are going to BM because it's Nilfgaard and they're invading and have basically taken over our throne, if you will. So we're gonna show them. We're gonna show them. Let's see. With decoy, do we have a preference as to what we use this on? Not a huge preference. I mean, I guess replay Strays Cavalry. Get another mark unit out there? Sure. Notably, goes from 1 power back up to its base of 5, which is why I targeted that one. So then we do this. Just keep on loading up on the damage because we can. Then we'll play Gascon.
Coin never stinks, no matter how rank the pouch.
Then we'll use Lyrian Horn, and it's gonna be close. Might be just enough to reduce them down to 0 points, which would be pretty sweet. Pretty sweet, but I don't think the fire is gonna activate here. So it's gonna be close. We're gonna fall just short of doing that, but we will take the win. Took us an attempt or two, And even with that one, certainly not perfect, but an interesting fight, certainly, once we actually read the cards.
Their plan ended in success, the Nilfgaardians crushed. As soon as the dust had settled, Meve tore the canvas off the nearby wagons to see what precious loot they had so carefully guarded.
That's going to be horrendously awful.
She expected to find gold, jewels, or exquisite silks. Instead, she saw dirty, terrified figures bound in chains.
Slaves.
Oh.
Reynard muttered.
Their precious cargo. Slaves. Behold the glorious future the Empire brings us.
Thanks, Nilfgaard. Thanks, Nilfgaard.
Meve ordered the prisoners freed and discovered they were Edirnian peasants on their way to dig canals and dredge swamps as forced laborers.
You are free. You can return to your homes.
The Queen said. If she expected words of thanks and gratitude, she was in for a disappointment.
I mean, it's not like we just saved your lives from being slaves for the rest of eternity, so, you know, no thanks necessary. Absolutely not. No worries.
What homes, my lady?
Asked one of the peasants.
Oh,
holding
that's
back
why.
Tears.
Took our land, they did.
That's why.
Nothing we have now. Not a rag to wear, not a crumb to eat. Leave us, we die. Soldiers don't do us in, monsters will. Assuming hunger and cold don't get us first.
The Queen was about to answer when she heard Gascon, standing behind her, whisper,
Before you make any rash promises, please, some maths. Dozens of hungry mouths to feed, and weak bodies to defend, twice as many tired legs to wait for, while war rages all around. You do realise you cannot save everyone.
Oh, interesting point, Gascon. Interesting point. Obviously, there's the moral question of these are slaves, or were to be slaves, that we just freed. And they're saying that basically if we leave them alone, just abandon them, they are doomed. You know, they're going to either get attacked by monsters, Nilfgaardians, they don't have any land anymore, don't have any way of... I mean, they were peasants, so they were farming, presumably. And, well, without the land to do that farming, they're going to starve, at the very least. So, they're doomed if we just abandon them and don't do anything to help them, in all likelihood. However, as Gascon says, that's a lot of people for us to be helping out when we don't exactly have an abundance of resources ourselves. I mean, my initial thought was, I know they're peasants, but, like, is there any way they can contribute more directly to our efforts? You know, like, not soldiers, but, I don't know, we use some additional hands around, you know, can we employ them as, I don't know, people who work in what are some of our buildings around our campsite, you know, have them help out in our workshops and what have you, and, you know, sure, we'll need to pay them a bit, but, you know, if they're helping us out in the process, then that could still be worth doing, but, well, I don't know. Can let the freed slaves join us, and I don't know, what would we might, like, gain recruits but lose coin, maybe would? Or leave the freed slaves to their fate, maybe lose nothing resource-wise, but gain nothing, and potentially even lower our morale? I mean, I get what you're saying, Gascon. This feels like just nothing happens, whereas this feels like maybe we gain something at the expense of losing some resources in the process. I know we're broke right now, but again, long-term, maybe is still more beneficial. So if we're willing to find a way to stick it out short-term, still find a way to get by, then eventually it will pay off for us. I think we try it.
I attacked this caravan hoping to fill my coffers.
The Queen said.
Instead, I have only secured a new drain upon them. But very well. In these ill times, we northerners must help our own. Women and children in the wagons. The men shall march alongside to the rear. I warn you, if you cannot keep pace, we shall leave you by the roadside. Move out!
The Queen's gaze momentarily caught the eyes of an old woman her soldiers were helping onto a wagon. Tears of gratitude poured down her soot-stained face, across hard lines left by years of destructive toil. Meve was convinced she had done the right thing.
Nice. And just let it be known. Just let it be known. We're not always tyrants. May have been a tyrant several times in the past, but not this time. Not this time. Let's just boot up a bit here. And, I don't think I noticed any of our numbers going down there, but of course, could be one of those things, much like the gold that we took from the temple a while back, that may not have immediately seemed to have much in the way of downsides, but then of course long term we saw that was the difference between keeping Ick and not. So we'll see if we pay for that down the line, but at least short term I don't think that had any negative effect on us. I also didn't catch if it increased our recruit count. It may have. It may have. I don't know. But either way, it looks like this will be a good place for us to wrap up here. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And I'll catch you next time.